Welcome to the Triumph Learning's training on Texas End of Course Coach English 1 and English 2. This PowerPoint will give you the basic information you need in order to successfully implement the Texas End of Course Coach English 1 and English 2 during SSI. We will go over the materials you will be receiving and how to use those materials to boost student performance on key standards that have been identified as areas of weakness for your students. Once you get your materials, please look through them to acquaint yourself with each piece. The teacher guide contains a brief instructional overview, the TEKS correlation chart, rubrics for grading the compositions, a correlation chart for the practice test, answer keys for all of the lessons, and a reproducible answer sheet for the practice tests. The student edition contains all the lessons that the teacher might implement, a TEKS correlation chart, a glossary, and practice test session 1 and session 2. The chapters and lessons in the End of Course Coach English 1 or English 2 have the same straightforward and easy to follow Coach lesson format. The title of the chapter or what skill is going to be addressed is listed first, followed by a box which will list every lesson within that chapter, and which TEKS each lesson is correlated to. All of the lessons in any chapter are then followed by a chapter review, which tests the student ability to now implement each of the skills that have been taught and practiced in all of the chapter's lessons. Every lesson begins with getting the idea, which is designed to explain what the lesson will be about, give examples, and really detail out the skill, how you use it, why you would use it, how it helps you, and so forth. Students then move on to the thinking it through, which will give them their first opportunity to practice the new skill. Included with each thinking it through section is also a hint, serving as a reminder of the new skill and trying to nudge the student towards the correct answer. The next part of the lesson is the coached example, which may also contain several hints. Here, the student is having a more in-depth opportunity to apply this new skill as they work through the lesson. Then the student will move on to the lesson practice, which is a much longer lesson and has more opportunities to apply the skill. There are still some hints provided under the reading guide sidebar. These lessons can all be done independently, but the teacher is encouraged to take the entire class through at least one lesson so students can see how they are set up, what text features have been included as supports for their learning, and finally, what the expectations of the lesson practice portion are. That way, the teacher will know all students understand each lesson component. Each lesson ends with multiple choice questions, which will have students practicing the new skill they have been learning. That is followed by an open-ended question, which asks the student to explain their answer and go back into the passage they have read to find evidence to support their answer. Every chapter in Texas End of Course Coach English 1 and 2 ends with a chapter review that will test the student's ability on the new skills. There will often be multiple passages to read, each followed by several multiple choice questions, as well as some short answer questions. Usually the short answer questions will require the student to go back to the passage to cite evidence in support of their answer. As you can see, the format of the chapter review mimics all the things the students have already been doing throughout the coach lesson. Nothing is new here, so the student should feel comfortable reading, writing, and answering the questions. This is a snapshot of each of the table of contents from the teacher editions. The table of contents from the English 1 teacher edition was done in a bit of a different format than the table of contents from the English 2, but for the most part, the same components are in each. Both have a brief instructional overview, both have the TEKS correlation charts to the coach lessons, answer keys are provided for all lessons as well as grading rubrics for the different essays students can write in either English 1 or 2. Reproducible answer sheets are also provided for the practice tests. Both teacher editions have a very detailed TEKS correlation chart matching the lessons in English 1 or 2 up with the standards that are covered within that lesson. Finally, there is also a chart detailing the TEKS that are not assessed within the lessons. In both English 1 and 2, the teacher guide is basically a very detailed answer key. There are keys for each portion of every lesson with sample answers provided for the open-ended questions. You will also notice that many of the answers, depending on the skill taught, will have the TEKS correlation listed, so you, the teacher, will know if the student has successfully mastered that standard. There are detailed grading rubrics for each of the different essays that are covered in either English 1 or English 2. The scoring points begin at 0 with criteria under each grading category and go up to a possible 4 points. These provide the teacher an easy and excellent guide with which to grade student writing, and we know how difficult that can often be. There are also scoring points for the short answer rubric single selections. Both English 1 and 2 have test correlation charts which show the TEKS covered in the reading and writing lessons. There is a correlation chart for the Session 1 and Session 2 practice tests. There are 2 practice tests provided in the student edition. The first practice test, Session 1, could be given as a pretest. Those results can provide an excellent roadmap of which lessons a student should do in the end-of-course Coach English 1 or 2 book. The practice test, Session 2, can then be given as a post-test to document the progress each student has made and the specific standards within each reporting category they have mastered. Thank you for taking the time to familiarize yourself with the Texas End of Course English 1 and English 2 materials. Please don't hesitate to email me at www.jjoint@triumphlearning.com if you have any other further questions regarding the implementation of your materials. Thanks so much.